everyone. Welcome to StormCrows TV, the show where two lit chicks talk about all things reading and writing. I'm Allegra.
And I'm Emily. Today is special. It's our 10th episode since starting the channel. And to celebrate, we're going to be bringing to a close our quest to review Season 1 of A Discovery of Witches.
So for those of you who have watched the previous episodes, you know that what we started doing was splitting the episode into a recap and a review. Instead of doing that for this episode, we're just going to go ahead and combine episodes 7 and 8 and do a kind of recap review mashup.
Right now, we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. What can we say was well done in regard to the final 2 episodes?
Baldwin and Domenico, just in general, but even better when they were slapping down Jabert and Knox. Like, I would follow those two on Crusade.
You know I would. Greg Chillin for Ezio, for anyone who hasn't gotten on that bandwagon. I feel that I was proven right and that Baldwin really did handle the machinations really well, even while dealing with the stupidity that was Matthew's orders. And Domenico proved to be Sexy Varys, as you've called him. He played both sides really well, and in the end, it was just like, oh, poor Jabert. He thought he had this guy on his side, and he wound up being the deciding vote that kept Baldwin in power.
He insulted Domenico one too many times. And that part was pretty well done. Like, the show did a good job with the vampire politics. Jabert, he needs someone worthy of Domenico, and I mean, maybe that's why the third wheel is so weak. Maybe it's because they deliberately picked someone who was going to just be casually evil so they could outsmart him easily.
Yeah, but where's the fun in that?
That's true.
If there's no challenge, what's the point? Domenico is amazing, and Baldwin, I think, really lucked out, but also played his cards right too.
You can see how Baldwin has held on to power, kind of, like, because the cards were kind of down for a little bit, but he managed a quick turnaround.
Well, I mean, part of that was not treating the demons like they sucked.
Yeah. And I mean, they've had him on camera. They've used his camera time wisely. He's discussed, that's a punishment for the 14th century, not the 21st. And we at least need to seem like we have some kind of, equality among the races. And, hey, look, it won him the demons. Baldwin's not an idiot. Speaking of Domenico and our attraction for him and Team Baldwin, the show does remain pretty.
Oh yeah, that will always be a highlight for this show. The sets are amazingly well done.
The sets, the camera work, the framing, like, they make this show freaking gorgeous. And I'm interested to see what season 2 will bring with the historical wardrobe. Not entirely thinking it's going to be proper Elizabethan by any stretch of the imagination, but maybe it'll be pretty, and it'll have James Purefoy in it, so I probably won't care.
Yeah, for more pretty. I'll watch anything with James Purefoy in it. I'd follow that man basically anywhere.
And like, we haven't really talked about it on here, but the set dressing. If you're watching it and, for reviewing and everything, we have to watch things like 2, 3, 4 times. You see the detail on like the Bishop house with the setting and little details they've added into how that house is decorated or how the vampire castle is decorated. Even the way they set up the council room in Venice, like, their set designers deserve some bonuses because wow.
Right, I agree. Speaking of the Bishop house, we finally have the characters retreat to Madison, and we learn that the house is a character.
Yeah, it was a kind of a cool Hogwarts nod, maybe. The Weasleys' house met up with the house from Practical Magic.
But I'm not entirely convinced the house isn't just Aunt Sarah.
The Aunt Sarah smackdowns were nice.
Right, and that's why it's like, I'm not sure that it's just not feeding off her emotions specifically, because it really reacted whenever she got angry. Not really when anybody else got angry, but it was nice to see someone put Matt in his place.
It was so nice to see people not be in awe of Matthew de Clermont for 5 minutes. Like, Aunt Sarah and Baldwin seemed to be the only ones who were just, like, immune, and it was amazing.
Well, Domenico wasn't either. But I also really appreciate Aunt Sarah and Em in this, because for once we saw a healthy relationship. When Sarah went to go cry to her and be like, they didn't trust me with this, how could they not trust me with this? And she was very upset about it, and Em's comforting her.
And they got to just talk it out. Nobody came up with some sort of magic solution of any kind. It was the two of them sitting down and talking it out and then hugging, like like you're supposed to.
Like adults do. I like that they sort of highlighted those minor characters, and there was a lot of good on highlighting Juliet as well. I mean, she's a minor character who I think kind of got pushed to the side, but man, she really kind of blossomed in these last two episodes.
The backstory she had was so dark and so heartbreaking, and when you found out why she was acting like a crazy bee, and you see it from her, like the dark side of the craving and how horribly wrong all of this can go, and how that whole vampire nature can be apparently manipulated by Jabert and by her maker. And I honestly wish we had seen so much more of that story, because wow.
Right, because I mean, you're already cheering when she finally stands up for herself and walks out of the church. And it's like Baldwin's face when she does that was basically everyone's face who's seen this show. But imagine how much more satisfying that would have been if we'd had more of her backstory. We're going to talk more about this in depth on like the bad side, but just for the good, I'm really glad that she got to sort of stand up for herself and give the proverbial finger to her maker.
And not only that, but she did it in a gorgeous red outfit. Like, my God, was that outfit gorgeous. I like that cape. Oh, and she just like swings it over her shoulders and she just breezes past Domenico. And I was like, I love you, Juliet, and your wardrobe.
Speaking of sticking it to the man and sticking it to the guy in charge, let's talk about Matthew sort of installing this bizarro congregation.
Yeah. So we're talking about the anti-congregation that forms in the Bishop household of 3 witches, 3 demons, and 3 vampires.
Right.
And of course, this brings us Marcus and Hamish together at last.
Yeah, I mean, anything that gets those two screen time is a positive. Bringing them together was just even better. And I'm loving this sort of bromance between Marcus and Nathaniel. Again, just lamenting the fact we didn't get more on it.
Oh yeah, no, I wanted to see Marcus bromance with everyone. Like, I just want more Marcus.
And it does seem like Hamish has remembered that he gets to talk to Matthew in a way no one else does, because he's like, all of this is stupid, but whatever, I've still got your back.
I think Hamish remembering that he can give Matthew kind of a little bit of a verbal smackdown here and there and remind him of reality is a good thing, because seriously, only Aunt Sarah seems to be capable of doing it on a regular basis.
Well, with all that said and done, I think we can now move on to our major issues with the episode, and hopefully we can keep this short. I doubt it, but let's try. Because, our issues with these episodes sort of reflect our issues with the series as a whole. So I guess where I would start is, what the hell is actually up with this house? Like, I love it. It was great aesthetically. It was a good character, but it's also sort of plot hole spackle in that, oh, we need an answer to this question. Hey, the house will solve it.
Like, magically the house solving one of your problems, okay. I can put up with the journey to the past puppet show that happened when you get to see the parents, I guess. Although really that would have seemed more like I don't know, maybe she could have seen that in a dream, or her memories could have awoken or something. But then the next thing you know, the house sends a poppet doll, and then the house with the earring in it, and then the house sends the letter at the right time. And I'm like, is the house a mail service?
Your house should not be your most useful character in a show. It was fine. Like, the house has to take a while to warm up to people, and that was intriguing, but And I was just like, oh, come on.
Every time you get a big question in the house, you just look up to the rafters and wait for it to fall down.
Like, unless, of course, Diana just pops out of it and ends up in like the shack or barn or whatever that storage facility was. But it doesn't matter because Matt will always hear her heart and find her somehow. Like, unless, of course, witch flying and he's
Thank
asleep.
you. Because I was about to say, unless she was out running at probably equal distance, and then he didn't notice that she was screaming bloody murder as she got witch napped.
Yeah. So aside from that, Matt will always be able to find her. Also, you know, as fun as that scene was in the forest at night, where, you know, I guess they're practicing or training, or we'll just call it foreplay. You know, she cuts her hand and Matt kind of loses his shit. Does that mean she hasn't, like, you know, boys cover your ears, but like, does this mean she hasn't menstruated yet?
Oh dear. No,
Because I'm not going to get into the graphic, gory details, but there's a bit more blood involved than that little hand cut she had.
Maybe witches don't get periods. I don't know.
How much time has passed? Because I was under the impression that we've had quite a few days, like maybe even a couple weeks.
I think it's like 3 weeks.
So, again, for those of you who don't understand the science there, that means she's either premenstruating or she would have had a cycle by now. So, what's he gonna do? Does he just sleep the entire time? Because he doesn't notice her when he's asleep. Like, this is gonna be hell for him, I would suspect.
I've got nothing.
Or, you know, that timer that we had. Yeah. Maybe he'll knock her up before she ever menstruates, and that'll never be a problem. Oh, God, this feels like it's been years.
Okay, so moving on from the menstrual blood issues.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
So the boys can uncover their ears now, but we're going to discuss Satu suddenly taking a jump to the stupid.
Man, I am so pissed about that. I'm so pissed. She had so much potential.
It really seemed like there's a discussion after she tortures Diana between her and Knox, and she's talking about how like Knox admits he didn't mean to kill the Bishop parents or whatever, and it was like, and she says yes, but the power overwhelmed you or whatnot, and she felt the same thing when she opened Diana. So is it like once she was trying to get near Diana's power, like something about it's addictive?
Oh my gosh, were we right in the last episode? Does Diana make supernatural creatures go stupid? Oh my God, this is... okay, hold on. I gotta pull my hair out.
It's, you know, it's that power. It's just you get power drunk and then they're addicted to being near it because it feels so good or something. I don't know. I'm reminded of the fairies in the Suki Stackhouse books because their blood was so addictive to vampires because it tastes apparently like cotton candy. And the vampires are just turned into rampaging, maniacal, psychotic bastards to get to the fairy blood. And I'm just like, is that what's happening here?
I don't get it. I don't get why she's so special, and you know why she's this Mary Sue who's cotton candy blooded with cocaine lacing, and why she's this what's the word, like a weaver and a time walker. And is she also, I mean, she might actually be Captain Planet at this point. Like, what is she not?
Well, and she's able to contact deities with a simple prayer.
No, we'll touch that later. I'm still on why the hell did Harkness slash TV show think that time travel would make any of this less confusing?
I honestly, I feel like this was the opening, like prologue to something that was supposed to be an Outlander sequel or something. Like, like the main goal was Outlander, but vampires or an old Dark Shadows fanfic.
I guess why I kind of cringe at this is, you know, you and I, we're both fantasy sci-fi nerds. You know how well time travel can go. I mean, there's just so much, just like the house, there's so much plot spackle that time travel kind of deals with. And I think just based on how some things have been handled in the show, I really don't know how effective they're going to be able to tackle that one.
Well, they gave a nod to it when they jump back to talk, or they're at Isabeau's for the night, and then they come back to Bishop Land.
Yeah, I really hated that. So I'm not really eased by it.
Yeah, like I guess it's supposed to be echoes of the past is what they're living through. It's not really our past. Possibly they're messing up some alternate universe. I don't know.
I guess we're whining about something that we only really see a fraction of. So I guess it's more of a season 2 sort of gripe. And yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to reserve total judgment on their time travel until season 2. I just thought it was really creepy that they could go back and inhabit their bodies or be and inhabit the same space time as they did. Like that part just got real weird for me. But jumping back in time, I'm willing to like, well, maybe it'll make sense.
I can let that lie for a while because I'm even more perplexed at Juliet comes back. You know, she has her liberating moment. She's free and you're super happy for her. She comes back and she basically nearly decapitates the dude. Or she nearly decapitates Matthew. Should killing him be that easy?
I don't know. I tried to watch that and I couldn't figure out if he was letting her kill him so that she would let Diana go. But that doesn't make any sense.
Not at all. You're more useful to Diana alive because apparently you're this super awesome military war hero veteran dude. You being alive would protect her more than dying for her. But I guess here's my big problem with it. I think it was episode 6. He fights with Baldwin, and then an episode or 2 before that, he fights with Domenico. And those fights are over in seconds. And just for reference, I know that if you're only going off the show, you don't know that Domenico and Baldwin are supposed to be super badass. But just with their hints, like how they fought at Acre and how they were fighting against the Pope and whatnot, you know, these are not guys who just kind of sit around and look good in suits. These are good fighters, especially if they're still alive. And so how does he handle them in seconds? But this girl who I would assume has no military training was able to make Matthew forget that dodging exists.
I thought vampires were supposed to be really hard to kill. That was definitely a fatal wound for a human or a witch or a demon. And if the blade was poisoned or a special, Valyrian steel dagger or whatever it is that kills vampires, I think we should have gotten a nod to that or some piece of dialogue of him going, "Oh shit, what's in your hand?"
I mean, it never should have cut him in the first place. I don't give a crap what the blade was made of. It could have been laced with poison. It never should have touched him if we're being consistent with his character. And if it did, maybe cut like the forearm because maybe that was how he dodged it or how he blocked it. Like, and then, oh, okay, it is poison. I could get behind that, but cutting his throat, I'm sorry. If it was that easy, Matt should be dead already.
It seemed like this was just a good way for him to be almost dying to get Diana to call down the goddess.
Which is in itself problematic. Because, I mean, like we said before, Juliet's had this really dark history. If you think about it, Matt was complicit as one of her oppressors.
You have Matt discussing how horrible it is to be craving someone. He's been craving Diana. He's barely held it together. He loses his crap in the woods when she cuts her hand. He's overly protective. He's damn near psychotic about it. She was apparently taught to do it. Like it was somehow created, embedded into her by Javert, who then used it to kind of torture her. And Matthew, knowing what the craving was, because I guess he's had it happen to him before, didn't try to help her as far as we know. Juliet has, had mental conditioning. torture for probably 200 years. And she's finally breaking free of it. And she has realized the only way to be free of it is if the object of her obsession is gone. And yeah, that sucks for Matthew, but he's had 200 years to try to help this chick. To try to help her find a way to break it. And he's just abandoned her to Javert.
I don't know that I had major issues with it until I really was forced to sit and think about it. And you're the one who brought it up to me. This is extremely distressing in a lot of ways.
It got really uncomfortable watching it because this girl is snapping at someone who has helped oppress her and possibly enslave her and left her abandoned and to be tortured by her maker for 200 years, if not longer. And she's finally broken free. And I'm supposed to root for the person who kills her.
She was really wasted as a character. Almost like Julian. Like, I feel like Julian could have done a lot more to sort of throw wrenches into the cogs. It's like Juliet has her moment and then boom, dead. Like, oh. I thought more was going to come of that. Guess I was wrong.
If they had used her to create any kind of true conflict. But no, she's a crazy ex-girlfriend who needs to be, like, murdered.
Well, we said it in the last episode. This couple can't have conflict. Everything just works out for them. And this is, a very physical and real example of, oh, there's a problem? Here, let's handle it in 2 minutes. And by the way, you're going to get the intercession of an actual god to do that.
And, the god then demands a price, but then we don't know what the price is, and it's just left hanging. And I'm like, if you're going to invoke a god-level Deus Ex Machina, literal Deus Ex Machina, it should come with immediate and horrifying consequences to me.
It just didn't seem fitting that, okay, in a romance, we're going to invoke the Virgin. But yeah, I agree with you. If you're going to do that, I think the demand should have been, and now you can't be with him.
Yep, nope, the goddess is just going to pop in and let you save your boyfriend's life, and then pop out by saying, yep, I'm going to exact the price, but we'll never know what it is.
But this should be extremely concerning to anyone who's not a witch. Like, if I were a demon, and I know that these guys who want to keep me at the bottom rungs of society have direct access to the gods, like a hotline, I'm not comfortable with that.
I think that we're supposed to go with only Diana can do this, possibly because she's already a demigod.
I don't know. I can't anymore. I think this point broke my brain.
Yeah, I think when you're writing, you have to be really careful about using legit Deus Ex Machina, like, for this exact reason, because now it's suddenly, wait a minute, so this main character's major problems will just magically be solved, not only with her own undefinable, unlimited magical resources, but now death itself will get undone around her if she wants it to be.
I told you, I'm done. My brain is broke. Like, logic has fled the room.
Like, I'm here for James Purefoy, and that's all that's going to keep me in season 2. I
know we're sounding really harsh, but I'm not going to apologize for that this time. Like, look, it wasn't bad, and we're admittedly being very nitpicky about some stuff, but there's validity in a lot of these issues, and I don't know that we can really just ignore them for the sake of a semi-convincing romance plot. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
And I'm further in the book now. Like, I'm about halfway, a little bit more past halfway through the book. And I can honestly say I understand why people were telling us this whole time to, like, oh, you need to read the book. You need to read the book. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get that now. But that means that the show is a very, very beautiful but not very useful adaptation. I almost wonder if they didn't try to argue for 10 episodes and wound up with 8. It seems like we're missing a lot of the romance beats. Like, there's no big dark night of the soul near breakup with Matthew and Diana. You get the one where he leaves her for, in Oxford and stuff, but there's not really a breakup point there. There's no real tension because Diana's saying the whole time, oh, I know, he loves me. He just has to say it.
there's just so many unhealthy factors.
Yes, our next endeavor has tons of unhealthy relationships, but it knows they're unhealthy.
Go ahead and explain what we're doing, Allegra.
Okay, so I am a major fan of George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. I've read the entire series probably at least 3 times. I absolutely love the books, and Em has never read them. So we are going to do a read-along over the next few months of a couple chapters at a time and discussing them as we go. We're inviting anyone who is interested. Like, if there's something you want us to definitely look at or talk about on any specific chapter, let us know. If you want to guest appear on the show, let us know.
I'm actually really excited about it. You know, this is something I've been planning to do, especially as a writer trying to get better at points of view. I hear he's one of the best. So I'm really looking forward to this. And I know Allegra is too.
Prologue and Brand 1 will be our first chapters. So if you want to read them in the next couple weeks for whenever we air our new episode, there you'll have it.
Also, if you have any thoughts about what we just talked about in terms of a discovery of witches, we'd love to hear from you on that. You can say like, well, you're wrong about this. I'm cool with that. I want to hear everything because maybe I'm just looking at this the wrong way. But yeah, let us know. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
On Facebook, we have a new group called Two Lit Chicks. You can follow us there as well.
Yeah, and so you'll see updates about like our videos, but you'll also be able to share memes and interact with other people in that community. And be sure to tune in to the next episode. And as always, have a wonderful day.
See you next time, guys.